there though, I feel, to me. Like, that's your...
Looking at last season, I wouldn't have thought that.
This is going one way or another. The other three you anticipate they're going to lose. They really only had one bad game.
So, ground zero here. They're going to come out against a bunker composition, and if there's any way that Athletico can pull this out, it's by throwing a bit of a spanner into the works, an Omnic spanner at that. They've got Bastion up on the high ground. They're pairing him with the Junkrat. We have seen this from Athletico before, so ground zero should be prepared for it. See the Junkrat just spamming those nades out, waiting to see which route ground zero are going to take to the point, and they're going to come out with the Pharah, which is, of course, a fantastic counter to Bastion. He does go down pretty quickly, but you get a lot of poke through. You can, you know, bleed through those shields very quickly with the addition of the Storm Arrows from Hanzo.
I actually love this. We were talking the other day about whether you want to use the Bastion or whether you want to use the Junkrat here. And Athletico have said, you know what, we're just going to use both. Unfortunately, they've now given up the first tick on the first point, and they have to try and get back on somehow. You have to contest, guys. That's generally how these control points work. And it's going to get nano boosted.
Yeah, you wanna find an enemy there? Oh, he does find Buzz, who goes down in a matter of seconds. We've got a nice big round hitbox for that to hit, but the EMP into Barrage, as you say. Atletico, they're going to leave now. They're going to head off to the second point, and they are not going to do anything about that.
Nope, they're going to have to swap off, change up their team comp. Ground zero going to be coming into this one.
Well, that's the icing on the cake, really. I mean, well, sorry, the it's a boon for ground zero. It's a boon for Athletico because they don't have to go up against all of these ultimates that they've built up on the first point, switching across to Goats. It's only the Transcendence there that might go up against this self-destruct coming out from Exalt.
Yeah, look, it could be enough, potentially. The longer this goes, the better it's going to be. And Dowsing does have that Transcendence now. Will pop it almost straight away. They need to get aggressive, and they will. 4 goes down. That's Bus finding the pick. Bus looks to find another as well. Zol doing what he can. About to get picked up. The DMEC comes through. Evie does pick up 4. That's going to help. But Bus takes the tank down straight away. Atletico getting forced off the point. Ground zero, 60%, going towards 100. This could be a huge time bank left for them. Goobs onto the point, pops the Transcendence. Evie trying to help, but it will not matter. As soon as the Transcendence goes away, so will Goobs. The Earth Shatter to seal the deal. Ground zero coming through, all on the back of that Transcendence. The one player that they didn't swap off, Dowsu, just getting through in the nick of time. The Trans comes up, pops it, everyone wins.
Yeah, it was kind of like playing with a Jonak on your team, right? You just got this Transcendence first out of nowhere, building it up super fast. But apart from that, it was kind of like playing a first fight again. I mean, both teams had swapped off to try and counter each other with that Goats, and yeah, it works out pretty damn well for ground zero there. I mean, Evie at the end, you know, she may as well have been emoting on the point. She was just sitting there like, what can I do?
Evie was healing Dalsu, I think, was it? Or was it surely it must have been damage boost, but you can't do anything anyway.
She was trying to fit in with the other trees that you see around Horizon, just being like, I'm a palm tree.
Whether you're healing or you're damage boosting a Transcendence, neither of those is really going to have much impact.
Not a lot. No.
Oh well, it is what can you do at that point? I guess.
Yeah, shrug. Give them the Reaper shrug, you know.
What do you do? I don't know. But that's a ton of time. 5.5 minutes. Yeah, ground zero now in prime position, looking ever closer to securing their second victory of the season. Atletico, potential to come through today and
go a long way to locking them into playoffs, Ben, this next win.
Yeah.
And Atletico might seal the deal. If they go down here, there'll be 2 teams with 2 wins, right? So they can't really come back into that.
Yeah, I think it's... well, they've only got 1. If Atletico lose today, they definitely cannot make it into playoffs. Yeah,
they might be counted out already because of map wins, actually. Anyway.
That's been great. No.
So, Atletico, they're pushing in now. They are on the attack. They've got the Sombra with them this time.
Bus on the Reinhardt as well. I was expecting potentially to see another Winston.
Another Winston on the top. Yeah, absolutely.
But not today. They're just trying to play it safe, I suppose. You know, so far so good. Maybe they feel that if they go with similar team comps, they can come out with the victory and Well, it's been the case here that the real differential, as you mentioned, is that Sombra. And if that's the case, they can't waste too much time. You need to build as much EMP charge as you can.
But, I mean, I feel like, yeah, he wasn't really doing... okay,
well,
so a usual Sombra rollout is, right, you go to the point, you start ticking it up, the team has to pull back, they have to devote some resources to trying to get you off it, and then you rotate back around. It seemed like he was just, you know, trying to roll out with the team there and trying to get that done. It doesn't work at all. He switches off, and now really they're just behind an ult charge. It's not a great start there for Athletico, being a little bit indecisive.
Yeah, somehow Jungle Jazz manages to headshot Goobs as well. And that's a lot of healing now disappearing for Athletico. Plus, they don't have all their help either. Defield down, Locust wants another. Because Goobs went down so early, he's going to have to sort of probably wait back as the rest of the team is one by one picked up. Wasted another 30 seconds there, getting staggered. Two and a bit on the clock. Ground Zero sitting on a ton of ultis. Athletico, one more fight, or by the end of the next. If they survive long enough, they'll get theirs. Yeah,
right. Because they almost built up a couple there. They've actually done well for themselves in terms of ultimate charge that fight. Bust with the quick reactions, allowing him not to get charged by 4 as he came in. That could have been one way Athletico got back into that fight. And once again, they're rotating outside. Ground Zero got quite a large setup there. And because they're so spread out, Bus actually goes down. They can't get to him. They can't support him with the bubbles or the defense matrix fast enough.
Yeah, that was not what what Ground Zero wanted. Athletico, on the other hand, they need to follow this up with damage now. Eevee goes down. It's 1-for-1 sound barrier from Jungle Jazz. Finds 2. I thought Athletico might be able to win this fight. Maybe they still can, but it's going to be very tough. They've got the better spawns. That's certainly on their side, but they need to not lose players here. No one really on the point. No one really contesting. Ata about to get caught out as well. And that's the fight over. Now it's going to be a minute on the clock when they all come back to life and get back into the swing of things. Jungle Jazz going back for the taxi. Yeah, that was... he's like, oh, no, they're underneath me.
So Athletico there, they really had a great start. We saw Ground Zero just being too split out on the high ground. Usually you want to hug one way or the other. You know, just make sure you're staying together, staying as a team. It's very important as goes. Once again, you see a split up. Will they go for Oily? No, he shifts out, gets there in time. They don't lose a player early now. But as a result, they are going to allow Athletico to start getting onto this point. They haven't even got a tick yet, Fandom. With 5 minutes 30 in the time bank for Ground Zero, this is looking ugly for Athletico.
Yeah, definitely tough. Ground Zero making this go as long as possible so they could get some ultimate charge up. That will now allow them to have Dowster with the Transcendence. Ball goes down to Jungle Jazz. No main tank here for Athletico. And this is a very... All right, we're done.
Ben's done.
So how was your day?
He's taking his headset out. He's walking off. He's walking out the door here. Athletico here looking like they are not going to be able to make any headway whatsoever here on Horizon Lunar Colony. Locust gives them a big Russian fist.
Yeah. Well, congrats to Ground Zero. They are now 3-0. That secures themselves the victory here today. Doubles the number of matches they have won this season. Sounds like a bit of a joke, but the reality is sitting on 2 points now is a great position to be in.
It's a big difference here when you're looking at that 5th, 6th spot, which these teams are fighting over. And Athletico, I think, are now done for the season, unfortunately.
Yep.
Not able to come through with anything here today. There's still a map to go. And, I mean, you know, look, Ben, you love talking about how much these maps matter.
They are important.
They're super important this season, right?
Yeah.
There is literally one map between Sydney Drop Bears and Order at the moment, okay? So, it could be the difference between Ground Zero getting a better seed or a worse seed, perhaps even going through for this season as well. I mean, that's $10,000 on the line between those top two teams, by the way.
And when you're talking about making it through to playoffs as well, when you consider that of the top 4 teams, you've got Blank, you've got Order, you've got Drop Bears, and then you've got the Melbourne Mavericks. No offense to Melbourne, but if you were going to verse the 3rd or 4th place team, and there's potential for one of those 3rd, 4th place teams to be a team like maybe it could be the Drop Bears. Who knows, like how those top 3 end up playing out? It could be weird. the point is, you don't want to face one of those top 3. So 5th is so much better than 6th in this situation.
I feel like, once again, the no offense, but hasn't worked. There's probably... Mavs are probably in the chat right now having a go at you, Ben, but look, I understand what you're saying.
When you defeat the Sydney Drop Bears at the season finals, I will apologise.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a couple of other teams who could, you know, who need to tick that off their list as well. Or to keep trying to vie for that first position, but unless they come out and beat Drop Bears at the finals,
at some point, guys.
You know what? I don't care how many scrims you win against them.
That's it, right? They do love to talk about scrim results every time we get to
You got to hold
playoffs.
up the trophy, man. That's the only way you are going to get that #1 next to your name. But for now, it's Ground Zero who have got the one next to their name. They've taken the win today, but there's still one map left. It's Watch Point Gibraltar.
Yeah, look, this is what I want. I want to see Athletico pick up Watch Point Gibraltar. I don't even know who Athletico are playing next week, but I want them to win next week too. And I want them to come through the end of the season. Yeah, we didn't have the season that we wanted, but we found our rhythm. We're dancing again.
Look, I've got some good news and some bad news for you, Ben. Which one do you want to hear first?
Give me the bad news.
The bad news is that Athletico have dropped more points on Escort than any other this season, and we know they haven't done too well on the other map modes. The good news is they've been playing some fun comps. So we're going to see a double sniper come out from them here on their first defense here. Look, they've gone the Hanzo, they've gone the Widowmaker as well.
What's the worst thing that happens, Genome?
They get full held and don't kill anybody.
So essentially what we saw in the last map. It's fine. There is nothing to lose here. Give us some entertaining Overwatch. We're ready. We're ready, Athletico.
See through the dragons.
Can Atar thread the needle here? He's got the Sonic out, so he knows where Ground Zero are coming from. They know they're coming across the bridge. The dive's in.
Look, it's a very aggressive blast coming out.
Exalt hit by the sleep dart there.
Nice. Nice. Atar keeps peeking over the high ground.
Headshot onto Jewboy.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. And no break, no hope. Dragon Strike already available as well for Atar, so he's managed to get that one up nice and quick. Having maybe a little bit more fun here with the Hanzo than what we saw earlier on with the Farah. The payload got a little bit of a free ride, 3/4 of the way through the first point, but Elfishguy always says you're probably going to get there for free anyway. Yeah,
the ghost of Elfishguy. He's got a lot of things to say about Contenders, and
not all of them right, but it's okay.
There we go. The Dragon Strike is used. Atar didn't actually get to see where that went.
I have no idea
no,
where
it couldn't have got eaten because we've got our new fancy... I call this easy mode casting, Ben, where you don't even have to look for these things anymore. The game just shows you.
Well, the game actually gives you the information you're required to talk about it in an educated manner. I do appreciate that at times, so thank you very much to our devs for making that the case. But this fight is going forever. Athletico is throwing a ton into it.
Oh no, the nano boost
has been
completely gone to waste there with another great. Delsta's been hitting so many of them. He's so damn accurate on that Ana when he whips out the sidearm there. Oily with another double kill. That's about the third, fourth time we've seen that this series. He loves opening up the fights just in the middle. Doesn't necessarily need the combo to do it either. He just finds the angles.
That's where you get the serious value. It's one thing to get the hole-in-one, throw your Diva Bomb into the middle of a grab and then have someone sort of shield bash it down or something, but this is a different story.
You know, the other thing I like is the new melee symbols. It's like, you know, when you see a fist for Diva, like, do you reckon to finish them off, she's got like some animation where she just like hops out of the mech and then like, gives them the uppercut?
Yeah, to be fair, I do wish it was like the mech fist, but
and I also wish we had a foot symbol for Zen. I mean, why does he have a fist? He's kicking them. We know he's kicking them.
It's true.
I want a sandal.
Kicking, I feel, is a little bit ruder than punching. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't expecting a foot to come out, then all of a sudden, it's just this sandaled metal object coming your way. Dragon Strike comes through again, but it's Goobs who goes down to Duboy. And you can see that sound barrier doesn't actually manage to catch Bus. I'm thinking that's where it was going to go, that's where it was needed, but not in the right positioning, unfortunately. Locust going to manage to charge himself up with that personal shield, getting right in the thick of things.
He's getting boots around everywhere, though. It's hard to even keep his tracker on the enemy team when he's getting juggled like that. But Jester or not, it looks like Athletico are very close to seeding yet another point. This double sniper is just hard to get set up here on this second point, and if you don't start pinning them in just as they come out of the doorways, it can be tough. However, D-Field with that pick off on Jungle Jazz,
yeah,
is he turning it around?
Bus doing a bit of work, and as you saw, he had the Primal Rage ready to go. That's 2. 4 goes down to 3. And you think at this point it's probably unlikely that they're going to be able to stop the payload from getting any further. Second objective is successfully captured here by Ground Zero. Now they have 3 minutes 50 seconds to go all the way to the end. And again, sleep dart onto a Winston. So Winston does like to sleep.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, it has a little bit too much peanut butter one day.
Like me. He goes like me.
Food coma.
Moments of rage,
okay,
and then lots of sleep in between. That's how I like to live my life. Don't recommend it, but look, it works for Winston, and he's a hero. So maybe it can work for me too.
Sounds like an exciting life. You lead then.
Yeah, and emails. This payload is they're not even contesting.
I mean, Winston sits in front of his computer. He probably does a lot of this too. Anyway, Locust here with the grab. They're on the attack, getting that full energy now. He's ready to do it, puts it on the pillar so it doesn't get eaten up by the D.Va.
Yep.
And that is doing a lot of damage. They managed to pick up 2 kills off the back of that. And now Ground Zero looking to push into that final phase. And wow, Athletico really are not going to have a lot here. This self-destruct, is that a self-destruct? Is it a remake?
Look at this. Bus is going to
reload's
have...
taking forever.
The Bus is going to have the shatter as well. Throws it straight through, catches them in a line, pins them down. The payload will get across.
No, they can't even get there. That self-destruct could have helped them because that could have actually bought them that 10 seconds they needed for the rest to respawn and try and recontest that. But no, the shut-up puts the D.Va on the ground. Can't do anything in that state, of course. And now it's 2 minutes and 37 seconds in reserve. Might not even need to use it.
So today, Ground Zero has managed to get the maximum number of first-round points on every map. Obviously, control's control. That's much of a muchness. And Blizzard World, they go all the way. Well, they didn't even need to go all the way. That's the point, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
But they probably could have. Horizon, they pick up 2, and then they don't even have to go again. And here, they've gone all the way on Watch Point Gibraltar.
Yeah, I think they had, what was it, like 5 minutes left on Horizon?
They had 5 minutes as they started the second phase. They had like 350-ish or something, which is still like that's a half. That's the whole point, right? You get 4 minutes for each point, and so you'd think that's really 4 minutes and 20 seconds if you capture the first objective again. So it's
maybe not like a Gina Reinhardt kind of bank, but like still pretty good.
It's a lot of bank, yeah. You just put that in your savings account and watch it grow, mate. Anyway. Ground Zero now probably feeling pretty good about themselves. They're like, oh, this is going to be a 4-0. We're going to have 4 big maps today. We haven't had many maps this season, so putting another 4 into our scorecard is going to be very useful if it comes down to seeing who comes 5th and who comes 6th.
Well, going up against Mind Freak, who have picked up, you know, quite a few maps throughout the season. They're going to want every single one against these guys. Once again, they are going to start out with the Roadhog just to see if they can catch someone off. Doesn't work, so they will switch over once again to that double sniper. And they got some work done with it when they were defending there, you know. Caught the Brigitte off guard. It's going to be a little bit harder from the low ground, but here we go. A couple of them already contesting that, pushing Ground Zero back, and they don't want to fight early. It seems like they're happy to let them go through Car Wash, ceding a little bit of ground for perhaps a better defensive fight. Oh, D-Field hits the headshot, and Bus is gone. See you later.
You don't often see 2 shots into a Winston and the Winston going down. So D-Field doing work on the Widow, looking to follow it up now. Duboy, the only player here from Ground Zero, holding that payload where it is. Oily trying to do the same from the other side now, but eventually they will need to actually contest this. The payload moving forward, the team split up. Bus back into the fight. He jumps into the high ground, drops off that personal shield, keeping him nice and healthy. If we take a look at Ultimate Charge, Goobs and Atar going to be ready. Throws out straight onto 4, who's into the thick of things. That Dragon Strike comes out as well. Needs to find some picks though, and not going to happen. She said Dowsu getting bubbled, surviving through that nano-boosted Winston, and now It's ground zero with the ulti advantage.
Athletico just took way too long there to press their advantage. They get this fantastic kill, the double tap, the SEAL Team 6 special there onto Bus, but they don't get in quick enough and they can't pick off extra members. You know, Nano Boosted Winston is so effective when you don't have another main tank to contest them and take out those backline supports. So Athletico there, chances going to waste.
Self-destruct coming out from Athletico, not going to find anyone. Ground zero not required to use anything to stay alive in this situation. And again, 4 goes down. Locust picks up 2. And now things are looking dire. Even though there's 2 minutes on the clock, ground zero have stopped the payload in a good spot. They are staggering this lineup as well. As long as Bus does not throw his life away, is he going to be forced to pop the Primal Rage? Yes, he does. And that is not what ground zero wanted to see. They push their advantage and they push just a little bit too far. Maybe Athletico is still in this.
Yeah, trying to stall them out a little bit, but all they do really is waste that one ultimate. Athletico coming back in now. They've got their own Primal Rage to use, but they're going to have to try and circumnavigate the black hole that bends time and space around it. How are they going to get past that, Goobs? Nano boost ready to go. Will once again he try and use it on a Primal Raged Winston?
That's a good question.
At the moment, they're just sitting here taking damage and letting ground zero building up those other couple of ultimates.
Yeah, we're willing for you guys to catch up. We want this fight to be fair. Well, 4's gone down before he even gets a chance to do anything. Zol is low as well. Ground zero now sitting on 4 ultimates, as are Athletico, but one of these teams does not have a main tank available. 50 seconds on the clock, they're going to have 6. This is their last chance, Genome.
Look, Ben, if they allow you to sit on high ground for that long, and you've got 2 snipers, you have to get a pick. If not, why are you playing this composition? That is exactly the situation you want to be in. You've got a free field of fire, you have to do something with it. Now they've got a bunch of ultimates. Let's see where they get with that.
The Nano Boost onto the Winston. It's not really going to do that much. Sound Barrier comes through for ground zero. 4 eventually does pop that Primal Rage. 4 is low though, stays alive. The work going hard, but Oily, look, we've got 15 seconds on the clock. Oily potentially could just sit on the top of the payload, hit Q and say, see you later.
He can. He's got the delete button there, ready to go when Athletico go for their last final charge. If any of them are actually alive to do it, Eevee does manage to bring Atar back in, and while tethered to him, he's got a hope, but the overtime wick goes so low, and they're just going to get back on here. Once again, Eevee the Mercy, the last one to stand on the point, will try and hold it out, but she can do nothing alone, and ground zero have nothing but victory here today. 4-0, what a resounding success.
That's exactly what they needed to see. So with this, ground zero's hopes and dreams are kept alive. For Athletico, that is it for them. They have no points on the board anymore still, and unfortunately that means that they're not going to be able to make it through to playoffs unless there's some crazy maths that doesn't make sense. I don't think that math
unless
exists.
You're introducing like negative numbers here or something.
No bonus points, right? Nothing like that. No, not going to be the case. So after today, that actually sets up next week for some very interesting games. You were talking about Mindfreak Ground Zero. We can probably talk more about that later, but you know, it's a lot to play with. But today, it was all Ground Zero, wasn't it? Really, at no point did they look like they were going to be outclassed here.
No, Athletico looked like they were having a bit of fun at least, throwing some interesting compositions into the mix. A bit of a rollback, really, the double sniper. It's very tough to pull through. I mean, if you've got so many healers, it's like, well, there's not going to be too much contesting us, right? Wrong. Bus is on top of you. He's not going anywhere. It's really hard to do anything if you're not getting quick picks at the start of the fights, and they were not.
No, and that was it. Oh, well. Look, to be fair, we said, hey, play something different. They did, and then they lost with it, so it's okay. Better than losing.
Isn't it on us?
That's actually our fault. I'm really sorry, guys. Better than losing was something else. But, yeah, as we alluded to, Ground Zero now, that's 4 maps for them. That's a lot more maps onto the board considering how their season has been going. Again, they have had a tough start to the season. Everything looking a little bit easier for them as we head into Week 7 next week. And now we really have a very good understanding of where things sit. The biggest surprise for me today was not necessarily the Mindfreak big legacy, but how resounding that victory was.
Yeah, look, I think Legacy showed us that they are competitive no matter what. I mean, I was expecting for Mindfreak to take out the victory, only narrowly. I think they did it a little more convincingly than I thought. They would. Legacy, I think they went too much off brand.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point.
They were stealing things out of Atletico's playbook, and if you've seen Atletico's standings on the ladder, that's not perhaps the way to go this season. I think stick to what you're good at, and if Legacy do that next week, maybe there's a chance. Maybe they get through and get that 6th spot. I think honestly they deserve it this season.
Yeah, look, yeah, as you said, right, taking this season at least, taking plays from the Atletico playbook's kind of like taking pickup lines from Elfishguy. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Anyway, it's time for another Macca's play of the game. A McDonald's Australia play of the game was Atletico versus Ground Zero. Watch bus come down for the big Oceania, and all of a sudden, it's stopped by that amazing wall.
Hammer down, more like hammer nowhere. It just hits nothing.
Man.
He shatters empty air. I love this slow-mo. Look at that. He gets a great bubble there as he's going in from Locust. But look, if you hit one wall all day, that was a pretty sick wall to hit, Exile.
That was a nice play. Great timing. All season long, I've been talking about 360 no-scope Earth Shatters. We were going for the jiving Earth Shatter. I was ready for it. My body was ready.